Hello.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And I think it's the first time that we sit here and make a video to share with you our stories. So probably you have noticed that Flo has been in the channel for quite a while, and many of you have been asking, who is he? Is he my boyfriend? So although from the very beginning Flo has been part of this channel, he only moved to China recently, and we never did a proper introduction. So today we're sitting here and we want to tell you the whole story from the very beginning. How we met, how we started the channel, and also our plan for year 2025. And let's start from the very beginning, how we met.
Yeah, so it was 2020 after the first wave of COVID. We were both living in Lausanne in Switzerland, and I was a little bit bored because COVID, there was lockdown and there was not much going on, and I decided to refresh my Chinese because I've learned it in my bachelor's like long time before, and then I was like, yeah, it would be cool to have a language tandem, you know, to get a little bit more fluent in speaking. So I signed up with the university platform and I offered German and looked for somebody who speaks Chinese and wants to learn German. And then there were 3 people who were interested, and one of them were you.
So I was the chosen one or what? Anyway, I was looking for someone who can teach me German because I learned German before. We were in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. Although I signed up, I didn't expect to find anyone to do the language exchange. But one day I got an email, which is written in Chinese also.
Yeah, I tried my very best. And I think then we decided to meet in a cafe.
Yes, that's our first meeting.
Yeah,
it was very cold. It was in autumn. I think it's in October or so.
What was your first impression?
I couldn't remember that clearly. The only thing I could remember is that the guy is very tall. And yours?
It was funny because I remember, it's like you came, so I was a little bit dressed up. I mean, I didn't see it as a date at all, but I was like, yeah, okay, you meet some person you don't know, so you dress up, you go have a coffee. And then I saw Yen and she came. I think you came in jogging pants and like a big winter jacket that was so large. I was like, okay, that's funny.
As I remembered, I really didn't get dressed up. I was wearing a very loose sport pants, which is what I wear normally, which might look a little bit like a garbage bag.
Yeah, I also love to wear sports pants, but I was a little bit dressed up because I was like, okay, it's a new person, I don't know her. But then I saw her and I was like, yeah, okay, seems funny, seems uncomplicated. Let's see how the afternoon will be. And I think then we went to a coffee shop.
Yeah, we went to a coffee shop. We had our coffee together. The whole conversation was quite easy and we both laughed a lot. There are lots of funny moments.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that.
So the first meeting was really brief, but we had fun. So we had a second meeting, a third meeting, and slowly we found that we actually have a lot of common interest. We both love traveling. And we've been to many places, not exactly at the same time. For example, he has been in Shanghai, and during that time I was in Shanghai too. He has been to Senegal, I've been to Ivory Coast, he has been to India, and I had been to Bangladesh.
Yeah, and then after these communalities, we, after like 4 months or so, I think we became a couple.
Simple as that. Yes.
Exactly.
So after we became a couple, and after some days, the COVID situation in Switzerland also got more relaxed, and we started traveling together, and we traveled to Pakistan together, and then when we came back, Flo bought a new motorbike. And I think the idea of traveling of a motorbike actually came from this guy.
Yeah, I've saved some money and I bought my first motorbike, adventure bike, to cover long distances because initially I really wanted to do a world trip with it. And then, given the situation, we stayed in Europe for a while. We traveled to Mont Blanc near Geneva. We went to southern France, to the Côte d'Azur with a couple of friends. And we did like day trips in the area, but we quite enjoyed it, I would say.
That's kind of our weekend activity, to hop on the motorbike and drive together. But our happy days soon came to an end because I finished my PhD and my visa is soon going to expire. During that time, the tourism industry was in a very bad situation. It's impossible to get a job. I also got some offers from Chinese universities, but I wasn't sure if I want to be a professor in the future. So I had to leave, and we've just known each other for a year or so. It's way too early to say, let's get married.
Yeah.
And by then, I have always had a dream of doing a long trip by myself. And I was also thinking, if I don't start it now, maybe in the future I won't have the chance. If I get a job, I won't have this long time. So that was the original idea.
Yeah, and then we were always into YouTube travel vlogs and stuff. Like we watched a lot of vlogs of different YouTubers who traveled the world and traveled by land, especially because it was just so interesting to us.
Our common interest, we want to discover this world together. And then I was thinking, maybe I can also create my own channel and document our trip. So from the very beginning, although we both have a little dream, maybe one day we can make a living out of it and travel together. But from the very beginning, it was more of a fun project. I really didn't expect much.
It was like zero expectations. You're just like, okay, let's keep it for your trip back home. Yen would do the videos, I would do the backstage work, and and then we will see how it goes. And hopefully COVID eases up and restrictions fall, and then after, at some point in the future, maybe we can travel together.
Another reason to start this long trip is that back then, a flight ticket back to China is extremely expensive. And I booked twice, and my ticket got cancelled also 2 times. And eventually I decided maybe it's even more worth it to spend so much money, not on one single ticket, but on a long trip slowly overland back to China. Because when I reach China, probably COVID will be over and I can just enter easily. So we came up with this idea of me traveling back from Europe overland to China.
And then we decided to name it the first season, which was the longest way back home from Europe to China.
And he's the first subscriber of the channel. So then we started, right?
Yeah, and we bought the equipment. So I think we bought everything secondhand.
Yes, secondhand MacBook,
yeah.
secondhand drone, and secondhand GoPro, and a camera. We bought it on Ricardo. The good thing with Switzerland is that they really sell good stuff for a very cheap price.
Yeah, if you ever want to buy secondhand stuff, Switzerland is the place to be.
Exactly. This also means that there will be a lot of uncertainty about our relationship.
Yeah, so we were together for like maybe a year or a little bit more, and we didn't really know how the situation would evolve.
Saying goodbye is really, really hard because that means a lot of uncertainties. We have no idea whether we'll be able to have this strong connection while living in 2 different parts of the world. And let's just be honest, maybe he will find some other girls, maybe I'll meet new guys on the way. So nobody knows what would happen in the future, right?
Yeah, it was really hard. And the worst thing was we didn't really know when we would meet again because, you know, countries opened up and then they closed back again because of another COVID wave. And yeah, it was quite tough, I would say.
I remember the day when we said goodbye. You took me to the train station and he was crying. It's just very hard because I know that the next morning I won't be able to see him, and I probably won't be able to see him in a while. And I also don't know if I would enjoy traveling alone for such a long time. But on the other hand, I'm really looking forward to this long trip. So that's the complicated feeling I had, and like that, I went to Turkey. So I started with Turkey, with Antakya, and I filmed. I didn't really know how to make videos, so everything is more of a learning by doing experience. So I cut the videos. I was so not used to speaking to the camera, and then after a very, very long struggle, I made a video and sent it to Flo.
Yeah, and I did all the backstage work. I was we did the upload together. We had discussions on how we could improve the thumbnail. We did the video description, all this SEO kind of stuff, and we didn't know anything about it back then. I also sent it to kind of all my friends and asked, hey, give us feedback. What can we do better? What is bad? What is good? Then we just kept going.
We really don't have lots of views. I think a video might get like 10, 20 views, but never mind. For us, it's really a fun project. We want to make this trip, we want to see the world, and we want to document. And by then, Flo had a full-time job just to make sure that at least one of us have a stable income. And I was basically traveling on my savings from the previous working. After 3 months, finally, we had our first reunion.
Yeah, for those who follow this channel for a while, they might know that if you scroll back in time, there are some videos from Iraqi Kurdistan and Oman. And that was the first meeting after, like 3 months after Jan had to leave Switzerland. And then we spent 3 weeks together.
The happy times are always so short. Very soon he had to go back to his work again, and I had to continue traveling as we planned it. So I finished the other countries. Well, we didn't actually manage to go through all the countries that we planned because of visa issues. Another 3 months, I came back to China, and after 2 weeks or 10 days quarantine, I was finally released back home. And back to the channel, it took us quite long to be able to be a YouTube partner.
Yeah, I think it took 4 months, and you need 1,000 subscribers. So after 4 months, we finally managed.
Yes, and a certain amount of watching time. And it was till Malaysia that our channel suddenly got quite a lot of attention. And when I reached China, we already accumulated a certain amount of subscribers, a certain amount of audiences, and that was also the time that we are discussing whether we should continue or not.
Yeah, because initially I think we said like, okay, let's do it half a year. If it works, let's continue. If it doesn't, it was just for fun. But then I think pretty much after half a year, it was kind of the time where things started working, and we're like, yeah, maybe let's give it some more time.
Yeah. And after that, we decided to continue the channel, and this time we decided to make travel vlogs about my home country, China.
Yeah, because we were like, I think foreigners don't really know much about China, and it's such a massive country with so many different ethnicities and regions and landscapes.
And I've also seen lots of foreign vloggers making travel vlogs in China, but I feel like as a Chinese, I can present the cultural aspect of my country a little bit better. So with that idea, we started the second season. It's called Onsen China. And I kept traveling. The good thing is that our audience steadily grew over time, and the bad thing is that
we still had a long distance relationship. I was working full time, and Jan was traveling, but we call each other every day.
Yeah, for me it wasn't that difficult to keep this relationship. I didn't really try to take care of anything, but it's very natural for us. We talk every day, and we talk about our trips, and we talk about our life. It was, for me, it was very natural.
Yeah, for me too. And I remember I always had the mid-break to call her, because in the evenings, because of the time difference, it would have been too late. It kind of worked out and we got used to it, I think.
But our channel was still kind of small, so although we hope that one day we can travel together, we didn't have enough earnings from YouTube, so just to be safe, he keeps working and I keep filming videos, and then, you know, we spend a lot of time discussing how we can make this things better.
And finally, in March 2022, so 9 months after we started the channel, China finally opened up its borders, and we just planned a trip together in China. And I came here in, I think it was July. I could take off for the whole month.
Yeah. We went to Gansu, we went to Sichuan. It was a very nice trip.
It was really cool, yeah. Oh yeah, and then we decided to get married.
Because we felt like the long distance wasn't a real thing in our relationship. I don't feel like we are drifting apart. I felt like we were actually closer than before, so we decided to get married. And then after he came to China, he went back, and then I went to Europe to meet him.
Yep, we got married in Denmark. Because it's just the easiest countries in terms of bureaucracy, let's say, especially if you are a non-EU citizen.
Getting married in Germany, it's extremely complicated, and getting married in China, I think there was one document, a single Bescheinigung or something like that. It would be very complicated for him to get from Germany. So eventually we went to Denmark and got our certificate. So this time the good news is that finally we are married, and the bad news is that we still have to continue this long distance relationship because our channel wasn't that big enough, and it's not enough to, you know, to support two person, and it's too risky for him to quit the job.
Yeah, exactly. And then after the marriage, we didn't meet for another, I think, 5 or 6 months until March 2024. Where we did another cool trip. Yeah, we went to Brunei, Indonesia, and East Timor.
We also rented a scooter. We did some really amazing road trips. And then what happened?
Yeah, and then just after, in June, we celebrated our marriage. Because in Denmark it was just like the official marriage to get our marriage certificate and stuff. But then in June we finally celebrated our marriage.
And another thing is that that year China came with this visa-free policies for many European citizens. So he was able to travel to China much easier.
And we invited lots of friends from Europe. So it was really funny because there were like 20 people from Europe. And we all came to Guangde, which is a
very small city in China. It's a wedding of more than 200 people.
Yeah.
With lots of tables. It was a very brief wedding. It's mainly about eating together.
Yeah, but it was a very cool time all together.
I took his friends for a hike in the most famous mountain in Guangde, Jizhaoshan, and then we tried local food. I took them to the KTV. It was a really good time. The story is very long, so the good news is the wedding is over. The bad news is that we still have to do this long distance relation. He still had to go back.
Yeah, it was actually quite sad again. But then it didn't take long. Like I think 3 weeks after I went back, we were on a phone call, and then we just were like, you know what, I'm gonna quit. I don't wanna do that anymore, because first it's been more than 2 years that we've been in a long distance relationship, and honestly, when you are married and after a while you really start missing each other, and it's not the same. I mean, you always spend time with each other for a couple of weeks, and these weeks are awesome and you enjoy each other, but then you won't meet again for another 6 months.
So he decided to quit before Christmas, right?
Yeah, and then Yen came to Germany. Anyways, it was planned that you would come for Christmas. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it like this. So I quit before. We will spend Christmas together, get everything sorted, and then then after Christmas or New Year, we will go back to China together.
So I flew to Switzerland after that, and I was welcomed by our goodbye party.
Yeah, exactly. So I organized a farewell party in our flat where we lived together before. And there were lots of people. It was really amazing. And then we had, after this party, I think we had like 1 more week to empty the flat, get rid of everything, and clean it also to hand over the keys.
Yeah, and that was definitely the most intense part of the whole thing. If you have lived in Europe or in Switzerland particularly, this is definitely the most painful part. In China, when you move out, it's easy. But in Switzerland, they really ask you to clean everything. I mean everything, even the little stain on the baking tray. I remember we spent almost a whole week and I was scraping all the dirt of all my kitchen stuff.
Yeah, and in the end I asked a friend to help me, which I'm very thankful for. And we even got a cleaning lady on the very last day because we didn't finish in time otherwise.
But luckily, eventually, it was all cleaned. We got our deposit back, and then I think it took you, I don't know, 2 or 3 loads to transport everything back to your parents' place in Germany. So yeah, we said goodbye to Switzerland, we said goodbye to Lausanne. And then we firstly went to Germany to spend Christmas with Flo's family, and then we came back to China, and then was Chinese New Year. We stayed with my parents. It was a lot of family time. There was also a lot of paperwork for registration, health checks, this and that. It took quite long. We wanted to do long trips together, riding motorbike, for example, but the situation doesn't allow us to do so.
Yeah, and I didn't have a driving license at the first place.
Also, he has a Swiss motorbike driving license and car driving license. Yeah, in China, you have to take an exam to get a motorbike driving license again. It was rather complicated. And since we have to do paperwork every now and then, we're not able to, do a long trip. We always left my parents' place and go to another place, and then went back for paperwork and then start a new trip. It was very complicated. And then we went to Chongqing for Flo's driving license because I got my motorbike driving license there.
And Chongqing is also the motorbike capital of China.
It's very motorbike friendly. And meanwhile, we went to, in between 2 exams, we went to Guizhou Xinyi to shoot a travel vlog. And then the accident happened and I broke my leg. But then we still have to fly back to Chongqing to do the next part of his driving license. I remembered I was in a wheelchair and I was still helping them to translate how to do this and that. But eventually he got his driving license. Before we went to Chongqing, we rented an apartment in Hangzhou because we've always wanted to live in a big city. And after Flo got his driving license, we went back to Hangzhou and I started resting. And meanwhile, Flo had an intensive Chinese class.
Yeah, and I also worked on the website. So we decided to launch a website, which is not finished yet, but hopefully in the next 2-3 months it will come out.
We had a very good friend helping us, and building a website is not that easy. And meanwhile, we are also preparing for season 3, which is already being delayed. And our coming 2025 traveling plan, season 3, the Asian Silk Road, starting point in Xi'an, China.
And finish point in Turkey, but where is still undetermined.
We did some preparation work, so we got a new bike, and a week ago I got a wisdom tooth extraction.
I got one too.
You might have noticed our face is a bit swollen, and we were going to share with you our more detailed plan in the next episode, which also means that this is a final episode of season 2. And before ending this video, I want to say thank you so much for being there with us.
Yes, without you, this would be impossible. So massive, massive thank you from us.
And we love traveling. It's also our pleasure, our fun to share the traveling story with you. And we love you. Thank you for your support. And see you in the next episode in season 3. Bye bye.
Bye bye.